So we're going to be going through a workshop over a couple of hours today, talking all about everything to do with Sitecore's Marketplace. My name's Rob. I've met a good few of you before at the previous events. If I haven't, please come and say hello afterwards. I've been at Sitecore for 10 years now, which is pretty crazy to say, in a whole heap of different roles. Recently took over ownership of developer experience, working alongside Christian Hahn at the back there. And yeah, our role is basically to make sure that every developer working with Sitecore tools is successful. So what are we going to go through today? Well, we're going to start off with a few slides, basically about 20, 25 minutes where I introduce Sitecore's Marketplace for anyone who hasn't used it already. Then after that, we're going to get into the hands-on coding workshop part. So that's going to be yourselves working on your laptops, actually building a Marketplace module for yourself. What are our goals? Well, we want to make sure that you get to use all of the latest tooling that's in SitecoreAI, and that you're going to basically learn about how to customize our SaaS platform using the Marketplace and the APIs and the SDKs that it's provided with it. You're going to be building your own application, so it'll be integrated into SitecoreAI, and you'll see it running natively in the platform. And you're here as well to basically learn what's possible with the platform, with the idea that you can go back to your teams afterwards and go and spread the word on how easy it all was and how you should all be using the Marketplace in your day-to-day careers. We have a team of fantastically helpful people who are all here to look after you today. So once we get to the coding part, if you find you're getting stuck with anything or something comes up you're not expecting, if you hold your hand up, then some of these people will come and help you. We've got Vignesh somewhere. Vignesh, can you give us a wave? Vignesh over here. We have Swati at the back. Ivan, are you around? Oh, we've got Ivan over on the back table. Christian, next to Ivan. We have Vishal, stood right at the back. Katarina, we have Katarina over there as well. And finally, Himat. There we go. So as I said, once we get to the coding part, if you have any issues, anything's not working out like you're meant to, just hold your hand up, and one of our lovely helpers will come along and get you back on track. So a little bit of housekeeping first. As I said, if you've got any questions, we want to make this an interactive session. So at any point, even if I'm going through the slides, just hold your hand up. Definitely keen to make this interactive and have any conversations around anything that's being presented. We want to make sure this is a supportive and friendly environment, so help each other while you're here as well. If you want to work together on a single idea, that's encouraged also. You don't have to work on your own on things. And be kind, be inclusive. We're all friends here. We want to make sure everyone leaves the room being successful and realizing what the potential of Sitecore Marketplace is. We want to make sure everyone's exploring, experimenting with what's possible. And the key thing is that we're learning as well here. Sitecore Marketplace launched its symposium last year, so it is still a relatively new product. Vignesh, who held his hand up before, is the product manager for Marketplace. So if you have any direct feedback around Marketplace, whether that's from today's session or from if you've been using it already in your day-to-day work, he would love to hear that after the session as well. So we need to do a pre-check first. I know some of you only registered this morning, so you might not have seen all of the prerequisites required for this. Hopefully you have a laptop. This is going to be an interactive session where you can build an application yourself. If you don't have a laptop with you, I am going to be doing it on the screen as well on my own laptop, so you can just follow along with what I'm doing. But we definitely think you get the most out of it by building something for yourself. Connection to Wi-Fi is obviously needed. We need the internet for this. It's a SaaS platform. The hotel Wi-Fi is about as good as you expect hotel Wi-Fi to be. So I would recommend if you have a data connection on your phone that you could use, I'd recommend using that. If you don't, if you go and speak with Christian at the back in the hat, he has some Wi-Fi codes that we can hand out for you, but as you'll see when I'm going through the examples, it's not the fastest. You should have got a SitecoreAI invite via email. That's for everyone who pre-registered ahead of time. And you should hopefully have a GitHub Copilot or Cursor or another LLM you can access, because all of the guides we're going to be going through is using LLM-based development to be able to build out the module. So as I said, I want to give a little bit of an overview about Marketplace itself first, why we built that into the platform, and kind of where the journey Sitecore's been on for the past 4 or 5 years. If we look back at our release of SaaS, it's been a journey we've been on for a while now. For anyone who's been building with Sitecore for a long time, you will have known us from Sitecore, our platform product, XM and XP. And then about 4 years ago, I think it was now, we launched Sitecore XM Cloud, which was our version of that built for SaaS, basically. This has been maturing along since then, and at Symposium last year, we rebranded and re-announced this as SitecoreAI, bringing all of our disparate products into one SaaS platform that you can utilize in one place. There's a lot of benefits you get out of going to SaaS over being on-premise, though. Things like you no longer have to worry about infrastructure, provisioning, managing, patching servers. All of that worry is taken away from you at that point. There's no versioning, there's no drift of versions you're on. And also, the nice thing is, it means you can start immediately. As soon as your environment's there, you can go and provision that yourself and start developing. It means you get things like built-in scalability, security is provided by Sitecore, all handled by us, and all of the compliance as well is taken care of for you. So it makes your lives a lot easier when you're building out. It also, I think this is my favorite piece, is the fact that we're continually delivering new features. When you're on Sitecore XM and XP, they're great products, but we only do a big yearly release, and you have to go through a big upgrade project to get those new features. That's not the case with SaaS. With SitecoreAI, we're continuously launching new features every single week. And because it's a SaaS platform, you get those features out of the box straight away. You don't need to do any big upgrade project to take advantage of them, which is a really, really nice way of working. So when we launched SaaS, one of the pieces of feedback we got from people who worked on XM and XP, if anyone hasn't worked on that before, it's ultimately customizable. You can change any piece of the platform, but as Spider-Man once said, with great power comes great responsibility. And while you can't customize SaaS in the same way, we realized we needed to give the ability for you to do some level of customization. And this is where Sitecore Marketplace came in. We have a few different customization options, Marketplace being one of them. We have App Studio, which is where developers can go and build custom applications that you deploy out to your Sitecore AI tenants and environments, and that allows you to customize the functionality for your individual customers. We have Agentic Studio, which is the newest release in the customization story, and that allows you to go and build these agentic experiences to customize and work with AI on the back end. We have Marketplace, which is where you can go and search a list of pre-built modules that have been created by Sitecore ourselves and also by other members of the community. We have a bunch of partners who've released a lot of modules on there, which is great to see. And that lets you go and install these pre-built modules, get pre-built functionality into your systems. Finally, we have Sitecore Connect, which is one that's been around for a while. That's our integrated platform as a service, or iPaaS offering, meaning you can go and then use connectors to connect to a wide variety of third-party systems that are out there. In today's session, we're going to be focusing on App Studio and Marketplace, because those two are the ones that kind of most closely related to the customization story that we're going to be going through today. So we have two things we're going to discuss here today. We're going to talk about custom apps, which is when you're building apps to customize your own environments. And then we're going to talk about the Marketplace. And for anyone who's at Symposium or seen some of the earlier sessions, you might have heard Marketplace also referred to as public apps, which was the earlier name for it. So custom apps are, as I say, they're private applications. They're a way for you to customize your SaaS tenants. So you have a specific customer with a specific need of customization that they have in their implementation. You can build a custom app for that. You install it in your tenant, and it's available right away for your customers to work with, and they get that customized functionality. It means you can address feature gaps in the product. As I said, we're releasing features really constantly, but we can't cover every use case there is. There's a lot of customers with really specific use cases that we probably don't want to bake natively into the platform. This is where custom apps really come in. it lets you tailor Sitecore AI and their experience to their exact customer needs, making it a really powerful offering. It also means that if you have 2 or 3 customers who need the same customization, you can build it once and then deploy it to multiple different tenants to have it available across those. That's really interesting for partners specifically because it means they can build customizations that are only available to customers working with that partner directly. When it comes to Marketplace, these are a list of, as I said before, publicly available apps that are available to install. And we'll take a look at the Marketplace shortly. These are available to every Sitecore AI customer out there, so anyone can go and install these and utilize them straight away. The crucial piece around this is that we don't handle the hosting for those. They are hosted by the creator themselves. That's an interesting piece to note. And they're also all approved by Sitecore. So if you want to have an app hosted in the Marketplace, there's an application form built into the portal, so you can go and build your app and submit it for approval in there. And then there'll probably be a bit of back and forth where we might ask some questions, get some validation on things. But then you own the hosting, you own the application, but it's available for all Sitecore AI customers to integrate with. You can have a developer profile, which is needed for this. That means you can go and see which apps have been created by which developers and get a list of them. And there's an app submission process, as I said. So we check things like the completeness of the app itself. We do like asset verifications, basic things like it's got to have an icon. You've got to include screenshots. You need a logo for the company in there. We also check some basic things like UI consistency, making sure it looks nice when it's rendered in the app, because we want to make sure that the apps that we have in the Marketplace have a certain level of quality included in them. We might ask for a demo or live walkthrough as we're going through the approval process. And there's also a security checklist again, just making sure that what we have in the Marketplace available for customers to use is approved by us and that we're happy that customers are there using it. So you might ask, why would you build a Marketplace app? Why wouldn't you just keep it for yourself? And it's a good question. It lets you scale out what you're building really easily. So you can then deploy it out across multiple customers really, really simply. It lets you expand your reach and visibility. If you have a really popular Marketplace module that a lot of people are using, that reflects well on yourself. If you're a partner who has that module that's available, again, that's a nice bit of kudos for the partner. And as we see shortly, we have a number of partners with some really nice apps on there. You also have the option to monetize apps as well. So we don't currently have the ability to handle monetization ourselves. So it's not like the Apple App Store or something like that. You have to bake it into your application. But that's completely fine to do that. You're fine to monetize these apps however you see fit. The crucial thing that's nice about this as well is they're actually both built in exactly the same way. So they're built using exactly the same SDK. They're built using the same APIs on the back end. So it means it's really easy to build a custom app, see it's got value, battle test it yourself in your environments, and then go through the approval process to make it widely available as a Marketplace app. You might be wondering, what's possible then? What can you do with these Marketplace apps? We have a number of extension points available. And these control basically where you can hook into the SaaS platform. So we have extension points in the Cloud Portal homepage. We have extension points in the Sites dashboard, the Channels page. You can hook into the Page Builder as well, into like the WYSIWYG drag and drop page building functionality that the marketers use. And you can also add your own dashboards into the main panel you land on in Sitecore AI, exposing key metrics as soon as you load into it. If we look at the Cloud Portal homepage, when we see this shortly, you'll see you have your apps listed in the middle box, and the box below is for the apps that are installed or that are available that run inside the Cloud Portal. These do a full page takeover when you run it, so all you'll be left with is like the white header at the top, and then your app owns all of the canvas below that. This is really handy for kind of extensions where you're not tied into a single environment. So you can see here, it's got examples of like searching across different Sitecore products. Maybe you're doing compliance or audit checks across multiple tenants, tailored setup wizards, best practice playbooks, lots of things where you're working not in one specific environment, but across multiple environments for your customization. We have the full screen takeover in Channels, which works in a similar way. You're just left with the white header bar, and you own the full page of the canvas below again. This is really good for like advanced content workflows, so managing approval processes, like localization workflows. If you've got like multi-step publishing tasks, things like this. Anything where you're doing like planning, managing, multi-step like complex flows would be a good place to hook into the extension point here. The Pages context panel is the one that we see used really commonly. This allows you to get an extra panel which pops out inside of Pages WYSIWYG editor, and you can get contextual data about what the user's doing at the time. So what page they're on, what components they're interacting with. I built a really interesting one here, which I quite like, which is for Google Analytics. So the page will pop out, and whatever page you're on, it'll load some contextual Google Analytics data for that page you're viewing. So you can see you can hook and pull in data from third-party systems as well at that point. We also have the custom field extension. And like this is a big customization that we were hearing a lot of. A lot of people were requesting this when they came from XM and XP over to SitecoreAI, because it's a really common customization we'd see there. This is really handy for pulling data out from third-party systems. So we obviously have a DAM that's built into SitecoreAI, but a lot of customers use their own DAM. They have one already. So you might build an image picker or a media picker using a custom field to pull data out of that other DAM if you have that set up. Dashboard widgets as well, that's another interesting one. So things like analytics snapshots, like publishing queues, anything where you want to surface custom data to your marketers as soon as they access the platform, anything around like key KPI information they really need at their fingertips as soon as they start accessing it. We have the ability to interact with events as well. So as your apps are hosted inside of the SaaS platform, the harness that it's wrapped in when your app's loaded gives the ability for events to be sent into it and you to basically respond to those events in real time. And that means it gives your apps the ability to feel like really native within the application itself, within the SitecoreAI application. Because as the user's interacting with the application outside, you can have your app react in real time. I mentioned the Google Analytics module before. It means that as soon as a user changes a page, I can react to that event, request the new analytics data from Google for that route instead, and it gives a really native feeling when you're browsing the site, so your applications feel like they're actually baked in. And you can see this is an example of the SDK code you work with. You can see it's really simple to just subscribe to a Pages context event, and then that data object that gets passed through on success contains all the information about that event. What was the user doing at the time? What were they interacting with? What's the payload of the information? You need to be able to render out the data correctly. Okay, so taking a little look at tooling. We have a Marketplace SDK that is available. We have a client and an XMC package to provide different layers of access. And this is a JS-agnostic front-end application. So it means you can use it in Next.js, React, Angular, Vue, pick your favorite JS framework. There's a million that get released all the time. But it's available across all of those for you to go and build out your experience. It does require NPM version 10 or later, and you do need Node 16 plus to be able to work with it. We have a sample of starter kits as well. So there's a really basic starter kit, which just gives you an example of all of those extension points I just talked about. So you can go and install it and just get some basic Hello World examples set up, showing where you can hook into the platform. We also have a Blok registry, which is available via CLI. And this is really cool. This is a ShadCN-based library. And we actually use this to build the UIs for SitecoreAI ourselves. This is what we're building our UIs with. We've open sourced this and made it available for all of you to use as well. The really good advantage to this is you're using the same UI primitives that we are. So it means that when you build a marketplace module, as long as you're consuming this and using the same UI resources, the app looks like it's just part of the platform. It doesn't look like this janky app that's like bolted on the side and not really part of it. The aim behind this is that the marketers using SitecoreAI don't even know that they're using a marketplace module at that point. It just feels like it's natively part of the platform. Okay, so we're going to go hands-on now. We're going to start getting some coding. We're going to get you all working in SitecoreAI. Before we dive into it, do we have any questions? Nothing, okay. Quiet crowd today. So we're going to start off just setting up and registering a marketplace application. Probably take about 20 minutes or so. For anyone who didn't get the entry email at first, this is a QR code you can use. It'll take you to a URL on the developer portal, which has all of the instructions for today's workshop, everything you need to work through and follow along. I'm going to go through everything on my laptop as well, so it'll be displayed on the screen. The way I like to work this when I've run these workshops before is you can basically follow along the instructions at the same time that I'm doing it as well. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go quite slowly. I'm going to explain things as I go. I might go off and show some other parts of the UI and basically talk about what's going on. Feel free to rush ahead and follow the instructions and go a bit faster and get further along if you want. Also as well, if you feel like I'm going a bit faster, don't feel like you have to keep up. Just go at your own pace and slowly work through all of the modules. So we're going to start off registering an application in SitecoreAI. We're going to then scaffold the application using our templates to quickly build out the app. We'll launch it locally on my developer machine, and we'll configure Blok and a Docs MCP server, making sure that once we start building the app out correctly, it's going to go and basically have the correct UI elements. And we're going to be using like a vibe coding approach to build this, so the Docs MCP is going to help us with a bit more accuracy around that. Okay, so I think at that point, we will start to actually take a look at some code. Here we go. So if you follow that QR code, you should see this page. I'm zoomed in quite a bit, so this is like a tablet breakpoint version, but it's the same content. So it's going to go through a little bit of prerequisites at first, making sure we have everything that we need on my local machine to be able to build a module. I need to have a laptop, which I do. That's a good start. I need to have an IDE. So I'm going to be using VS Code for my example today. If you prefer to use Cursor or any other IDE you choose, that's completely fine. I'm just going to be using VS Code for my example. As I said, we are going to be using like a vibe coding style approach for this example today. So you need to have access to some kind of LLM account for this, whether that's Copilot, Cursor, Claude, ChatGPT. Again, heaps of them out there. Use your one of choice. And yeah, that's what we're going to be working with. So you need to make sure you've got some tokens available for use in there. And there's some software prerequisites as well. As I mentioned, we're going to need to have Node version 6 installed. We need NPM version 10. So we can go and check that we have that. Let's go and do that myself first. So if I do Node, is it -- version, is that right? Okay, so I'm on 24.14. Is that text big enough at the back? Do you need that bigger? Bigger? Yeah, I thought so. Let's see, is that going to make it any bigger? Hey, there we go. That's a bit better, isn't it? Okay, so my Node version looks up to date. That's good. What else do we need to have? Oh, NPM. Let's go and check my NPM version. Oh, got to make sure I type correctly. Version 11. Okay, so we're looking good here. So I've got VS Code installed. That's good. And I've got Copilot enabled. So we're going to go over to register our application. So first of all, I'm going to go and log into the cloud portal. You should all have access to the cloud portal now. If you don't have access already, go and speak to my friend Christian in the hat at the back, and he will give you access. So let's go and click on this organization. I'll tell you what, let's do it in a new tab instead. Let's see if it's going to make me log in first. Oh, no, it's saved it. That's good. Okay, so we have a selection of environments here set up. You're not actually going to be making any changes to the environment throughout the workshop, so feel free to pick kind of any environment you want to work in. You shouldn't actually end up stepping on each other's toes for this. If we look along the top, though, we can start to see these marketplace applications that I talked about before. We have App Studio, which is where you can go and register your custom applications. We're going to do this shortly. This is where I can go and create an application and have it set up and tied in and basically available to use. We have My Apps, which is where I can see the applications that I have installed in my tenant here. You can see I've got a few installed. Most of these seem to be done by Sebastian Winter, who's not here with us today. There's some which have come from the marketplace, there's some which are custom apps, but this is where you can see everything that's been installed, the extension points it's installed into, and which tenants it's available in as well. I mentioned the marketplace before. So this is where you can go and see all of the custom apps, also all of the public apps that are available today. And we can see we've got a wide variety in there. We've got some faceting on the left-hand side. So we can see we have ones coming like analytics, we've got AI-based ones, collaboration, content management, a wide selection of available apps that are here today. You can see we have a bunch from different partners. We've got Codehouse, Pingworks, Uxbee, American Eagle. So there's quite a few partners that have got involved in creating these applications. And it's great to see the community get involved, creating this functionality that's publicly available for everyone using SitecoreAI. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to go and register a local app that I need to be able to go and work today. So if we go back and look at my instructions here, we can see it gives me the instructions to go and log into the cloud portal. I've done that. Make sure I'm in the right organization. So some of you might have organizations if you're already working on SitecoreAI projects. So let me just show you. If you need to change, you can use this little 9-dot circle square thing up here. And then if you use the switch button, that'll give you a list. And the Marketplace Hackerspace organization, that's the one you want to be in for today. Once we're in there, we need to go into the App Studio. We're going to create an app. We'll give it a meaningful app name. We'll choose and create a custom app, and we're going to hit the Create button. I'm going to be following an example today, which is generating custom images using LLMs. All the instructions for that are included in the link in the dev portal that you have. You're welcome to follow along with that if you want. It's a good example. It's a nice kind of enclosed example you can use to build an application. If you have a custom app idea, if you want to build something else, feel free to do that as well. It's up to you, like kind of which direction you want to go today. I'm going to be doing the image generation version when I work locally here, though. So it's going to ask us to choose an extension point to run in. We're going to have to enable some API access. It's going to ask for permissions. And then we're going to be building a Next.js application today. So it's going to be running on localhost 3000, running off my dev machine. It gives us an example of an app logo we can use. Then we'll hit activate. OK, so let's go and do that. So I'm going to hop over to App Studio. And I'm going to create myself an application. And we're going to call it Rob's Awesome. Oh, man, my typing's awful today. Rob's Awesome App. This is going to be a custom application. And we'll hit Create. It tells me the app's created, so I can go over and configure it now. This is where I get to see whether the hotel Wi-Fi is going to be nice to me or not. Let's try and refresh that. Here we go, OK. So we can see it's got Rob's Awesome App and currently in development, so I'm still building this. I think for my extension point, I'm going to be pretty happy with the standalone Cloud Portal one. So it'll make it available in that bottom panel in the Cloud Portal, and it means I'll get that full page takeover baked directly into the Cloud Portal for me. I could choose some API access. So there's a wide variety of APIs that we have in SitecoreAI, covering the whole gamut of functionality that's available in there. As I said, Marketplace is still relatively new. We're still building this out. So we're still working on getting a lot of these APIs onboarded. For today, we have the SitecoreAI APIs, which is more around the CMS-style functionality currently. And then we have some AI skills around like brand kit reviews. I'm going to enable both of those. And you can then choose some permissions. This was one of the requests we got pretty much as soon as we launched the Marketplace. To get a little bit techie behind the scenes, when the Marketplace apps are loaded up, they're created in an iframe behind. That's how it's rendered in and pulled in. We'd made it really restrictive at first. So there were no like permissions with how the iframe could interact with the parent frame and like what activities the iframe could perform, but there was no way to customize it. So we quickly introduced that, and that's what we're seeing here. So things like if you wanted your iframe to be able to render pop-ups, if you wanted to have access to the clipboard, to copy from or to copy to or to read from, and also to download files. So these were all really big requests really quickly. And this is a good example of what I said earlier on about us being able to really quickly build and release features. Because these were requests from the community, they were asked for, and we got these delivered really quickly and enabled, and no one had to do anything to get this functionality provided. It was just available as soon as we released it. I don't need any permissions for this image generator example, so I'm happy just to save that. Okay, so I'm going to be running on localhost. And we had an example icon in here I can use, so let's copy that. Oh, we've changed it. It's an upload now. There we go. That's how quickly the functionality changes. I didn't know we'd updated that. Let me find a picture. What do I have in here? I think I've got a picture of me. Perfect, that'll do. Awesome, there we go. What an icon. So I'm pretty happy with all of that. That looks like we've got everything configured that I need to. I'm going to go and activate that module. Oh, my deployment URL is missing. Did I not click? Ah, I've got to click the confirm button for that. So let's go and activate my module. And as soon as I activate it, that's going to then be available for people to install into their tenants, their environments, and to be able to use themselves. So here it says, the app's now activated. Organization admins and owners can now install the app using my apps. So let's go there. Let's go back to the instructions, and here we get the install app instructions. So as it says, after we create our app and activate it, we get the dialog option to take us over to the My Apps section. From here, we can hit install, and then we choose the environment that we're going to be using, hit the install button, and it then becomes available there. We can then go and start to test whether it's running. So let's go and do that somewhere in here. Oh, there's my app, my icon. Perfect. Oh, I can see some of you already have apps in here. That's good to see. So I'm going to hit the install button. And let's go for number... Oh, what number do I like? Oh, let's go for number 7. Eric Cantona's number for any Man United fans. That'll do. We select next. We go to API access. It's just confirming that that's required as well. And then we hit install. So this is going to go away, and it's going to install it into that tenant. After this, I can go back to the home page on the portal. Because I selected the standalone application, if I scroll down to my apps panel below, you can see I have a logo for my application now. So I can click on this. It's going to take me away, and it's going to try and render that application. It's going to ask me if I want to be able to access localhost. I want to do that. And as I said before, you can see we get the white bar, the header across is available. Obviously, I've not built my application yet. Nothing's running, so it's trying to connect to localhost when nothing's there. So we get the refuse to connect piece. But you can see it's made the connection, it's set up, it's installed. I think we're ready to write some code. Okay, so before we move on, does anyone have any issues with app registration? I can see some of you managed to get that registered. Anyone need any help? Everyone managing to go through okay? What was that, sorry? Sorry? Yep, so if you hold your hand up, as I said, we'll get someone to come and help you. Awesome. Okay, so let's go back to our instructions and see where we're up to next. Now we're actually start building something. So we're going to start by scaffolding the starter kit. And we have an npx command, which is where we can go and start to build our application. So I'm going to copy this command. I'm going to head over to my terminal. Where am I? Okay, yeah, I'm in the right project. I'm in the right folder. I can paste my npx command in. This is going to ask me a few questions. So it's going to ask kind of what language I want to use, if there's any specific Tailwind class things I want to go add as well. It's also going to test the hotel Wi-Fi at this point, so this is going to be fun. We're going to be building a Next.js app today, so I'll select Next.js. Let's call this SUGCON India Code Jam. This is going to go and create a folder with that name, and it will provision a Next.js application in that folder with some of the basics for marketplace development included. There's a really nice, quick way to get you up and running. While that's running in the background, I can go and take a look through here and see what we have. So yeah, it's going to ask you, or you might have to install ShadCN. That's the first piece. I'd already used that previously, so I didn't get that prompt. You choose Next.js for the project. You give it a name. It may ask you to select a component library. Radix is what we recommend currently, which is the latest one. And then there's a few other presets that you might get asked for. These are ShadCN defaults. They don't actually make a difference when you're building a marketplace app, so you can just go through and kind of go past those. Here we go. So it took a little bit for that piece. We'll use the Radix component library. Here we go. So the presets don't actually get applied in this example, so we can just kind of go through there. And this is going to go away and actually check the registry. It creates my components JSON. It's going to install all the different dependencies that I need for my application. So at this point, it's going to go and basically do an npm install behind the scenes, pulling down all of the different packages that we need to work with. That's pretty good. I mean, if you want to have a look through here, you can see an output of what was created. And that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So let's go and move into that folder, SUGCON India Code Jam. And I'm going to open it in VS Code. That is really small, isn't it? Let's make that much bigger. There we go. Nice. That's probably a bit too big. So we can see we've gone through, and the app's been created. Next thing we need to do is just go and start the application and test that it's actually working, so we can go and see an output in the iframed-in version inside of Cloud Portal. So I'm going to go back to my terminal here, and I'm just going to go npm run dev. And that's going to start a local server on my development machine running that Next.js application. You can see it's giving me the URL, localhost 3000. So I can go back to my site in here, Rob's awesome app. If I reload the page and cross my fingers, hopefully we should now see that app get nicely iframed in. When it's working, it's spinning, it's thinking about it. Let's try and open it again from the link, see if that helps. There we go, much better. So here you can see when you first use the npx command to scaffold your marketplace starter kit, you get some basic context that's output here. So this is actually using the SDK to make some queries to the SitecoreAI APIs to get some basic hello world style data. But you can start to see the kind of data that's available to you. So you can see we get the application context data coming back. So here, this is basically going to give me information about my application that I'm running, so my custom application. So you can see all the data we set up before, you know, the name of Rob's awesome app, it's a custom application, the URL it's running on, heaps of information about where it's installed, the touch points that are available, the developer information, any resources that it has access to as well, and the extension points it's registered in. We also have some examples around auth as well. I think that's more for if you're using it inside of pages and inside a site, so I wouldn't be able to use that in the Portal standalone version here, but we don't need to take a look at that today. Okay, so we have my application started. This is a good start. Like, we've got things wired up. We're ready to build something actually functional. Have any of you got this far so far? Have people managed to get an app up and running, the Hello World app? Yes? No? As I said, if you get stuck at any point, just put your hand up. We've got a bunch of helpers here who can come and help keep you moving. I'm just going to keep moving along myself with the example. Completely fine if you're further ahead. If you're still catching up with me again, completely fine. So we want to register the Blok MCP. For those of you who haven't used MCP before, that's Model Context Protocol. That's a way of providing an API entry point for basically supporting context for your LLM. So there's a lot of things around like documentation being available via MCP. It basically means that when your LLM is running, it can pull in really contextual information into its context to be able to give more accurate results. So we're going to start off with the Blok MCP, and that gives a lot of information to the LLM around how the Blok UI library functions and what it needs to be able to do to build out these nice UIs. I'm working in VS Code, so I can go and copy this npx command, and I can go and run that in my VS Code console. And this will go and install the MCP server directly into my IDE for me. So here we go. We can see it says it's configured the MCP server, installed its dependencies, and it's saved them to the VS Code MCP JSON file. So we can go and take a look at that. And you can see it's just basically registered the MCP server, so it knows how it has access to it when it's running LLM commands related to SHAD-CN. If you're using Cursor, if you're using a different IDE, there's other instructions here as well. And the next one's for the Docs MCP. I've already done this ahead of time, but if we go and open this in a new tab, we can just go and take a quick look. In Ask AI up here, we have an MCP option, and here you can get instructions for how to add it to your specific IDE of choice. So you can click on the VS Code one. I think I've already installed it in mine, but that'll bring it up and connect it to your VS Code instance and set it up in there as well. Okay, so we've got that up and running. We now have an application running locally. My MCP is set up. My app's registered in the app settings for the Marketplace, and it's being pulled in and rendered in the Cloud Portal extension point. At this point, I'm ready to go and try and build something. So I'm going to go, and we're going to follow through this image generation example. What this does is it basically builds an app with a text box where you can go and make a request, and it'll go and generate an image for you using an LLM. Exactly like you can see here. Okay, so we've already been through the prereqs. You can see we have all of this created and installed. It's running on localhost 3000. We've done the starter kit scaffolding already. You can kind of skip these first few. It's running locally. We've configured the MCPs. We're now going to start to build some code. Okay, so we've got a couple of prompts in here, and what you can do is basically copy these exactly into your LLM, and it'll start to build out the functionality. Any of you who's done LLM-based coding like this will obviously know LLMs are non-deterministic, so me running the code here, me running the prompt here, doesn't guarantee you're going to get the same output. It's going to be how the LLM decides to interpret that prompt for yourself compared to me. So you may get slightly different results as well, which makes it really fun when you're doing live demos. Let's go and copy this. And I'm going to hop over to my LLM over here. I'm using Opus 4.6. That'll probably do for something like this. I'm going to paste in that example code, that example prompt. And let's take a read through it first. So it says, I have a Sitecore Marketplace app scaffolded with the Next.js app router. We're using Blok SHAD-CN quick start template. It has a marketplace provider and a use client set up. We need to add an image generator route. Only create these 2 files. Do not modify any other files. Pretty standard style prompting you're using here. And then show the full content of each new file when it's finished. I'm pretty happy with that, so let's hit OK. And the LLM is going to go away and start to process this. You can see it started accessing the MCP server for SHAD-CN. So it started to leverage those MCPs we set up as well. And it's going to go away, analyze the code base so it knows what it needs to create and how it's going to hook in these different elements that I've asked it for. We can see it's imported the marketplace provider. It learns about that now. And we've started to get this box down here saying 2 files changed. Here's the running thing saying basically what it's actually done and validating what we want to keep. So let's go and take a look. If we go and look in our app now, we can see there's an image generator route. We have a components folder, which is empty. We have a layout and a page in here. I'm just going to blindly keep this for now. Obviously, if you're writing production code, you should review what the LLM creates before you deploy it. But let's keep going through this example. We're going to be using an LLM API called Hugging Face for this. So what we want to do is get an API token to be able to access their servers. So I'm going to copy this first, and we're just going to put this into an env file, which is where we're going to store that information. So I don't want to put it in a folder. We want .env. I'm going to paste that contents in, and then I need to go and get the Hugging Face API. So if I go over to huggingface.co, I need to log into here. You can see I've created a couple of different access tokens already. I'm going to create a new one for this. We'll call it SUGCON India Code Jam. To be able to use the APIs we want to use, let's make that a little bigger again, I realize. There we go, nice. We just need to make sure we've enabled the 3 inference checkboxes, because that allows us to leverage the image generation API. I'm pretty happy with that. I can create a token. We'll copy that value, and then I can just paste that into my env file, ready to go. I'm just going to restart the application just to make sure. There we go. Tell you what, let's not run it through here. Let's run it through this one instead. That's better. There we go. Next not found. That's looking a bit better. Okay. So we've set up our end file now. That will have been read in. I'm pretty happy with that. Where are we up to in here? Let's go back to our instructions again. So we have created the Hugging Face env file. I'm going to go and copy this prompt in, which is going to start to wire that up. Let's make this a little wider while we have a look. So what are we asking here? So I'm building a Next.js app router marketplace app embedded as an iframe in Sitecore. Images from the Hugging Face API will be converted to base64 data URLs client-side. No external image hostname needed. So we want to update the next config to allow the app to be embedded via an iframe. And we want to keep existing options intact, so just making sure that everything's configured nicely for this next app. So you can see it's going away, it's reading the next config, it's updating it to make sure everything's ready for it to be embedded. We can see the app restarted over here, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go and double check that everything renders okay for my app portal. And here we go. We've still got the Hello World app. So where are we going with our instructions next? Right. So we need to set up a use page context hook. So this is going to extract the page context logic into a reusable hook so that the UI component system stays clean. So we can go back to our IDE, paste this in. And we're just basically doing a bit of setup configuration here, making sure everything's ready before we start to build out the call to Hugging Face, and the actual UI componentry itself. Here we go. You can see it's given itself a couple of to-dos to do. It's going to create our React hook that's available for the page context. We can see it's already set up the hook. So I'm pretty happy with that. We'll keep it, and let's move along. Next, we're going to be creating the Hugging Face image generation API route. So this is an app router Next.js application. So we're creating an app route here, which is going to handle the actual call through to generate the image using the Hugging Face API. So what are we asking for here? So yeah, we're asking for a route, a specific location in the application. It's going to be accept post requests with a JSON body. It's going to have some input validation on it. And then we want to make sure we're handling the Hugging Face fetch correctly, so handling any errors that might be returned as well. Okay, so it's generated my route for me here. If I go and double check in the code base, I can see now I have my hook in here. I have my API route that's just been generated. Everything's looking pretty good. At this point, we can go and actually start to test some functionality. This is where we really get to see whether the LLM's built me something that works, or if the demo gods are not being nice to me today. So what we can do is we can use curl here, and we can hit that app route endpoint that we just created, that API. So we're going to call the API generate image route on my local application running here, and we're going to pass in a JSON header, and we're just going to ask for a prompt here. That's then, hopefully, going to go over to the Hugging Face API, make an image generation request, and return me the base64 encoded image value. So let's see. What do people reckon? Is this going to work? What do you think? Let's open up a new prompt in here. So I've still got my app running in the node prompt. I've created up a second instance of my terminal here. And I'm just going to paste in the curl request. I'm going to cross my fingers. And if we see a big garble of text, that's exactly what I wanted to see. So we can see here, if we scroll back up, it might have been trimmed off actually. Yeah, it would have started with a bit of, as the instructions say, if it starts with the data image at the beginning, you can see that's a base64 encoded image that's being returned from the API. So we're doing well. At this point, we've got an Next.js application created. We've created our server route, which is then going to go and make a call over to the Hugging Face API. It accepts a JSON data object, which has my prompts for the image I want to be generated. The Hugging Face API generates that image, returns it back, and then it's being just output basically as base64 currently, which we can then start to leverage afterwards. Okay, so build the image generator UI component. Here we go. Let's go and copy all of this. Can I get that on one screen, maybe? Let's go the other way. Oh, come on. Scroll up. Is that going to work? Nope. I might have to zoom out a bit for this one. There we go. Okay, let's copy all of that. Now, let's make my LLM window a little bigger. Let's see what we're doing in here. So we're going to start to generate some UI componentry at this point in our React Next.js application, so we can actually start to interact with this properly. So we want to make sure it's a client applications. We need the use client directive at the top. We want to import our use page context hook that was created. We need to make sure that when the form's submitted, it posts through to that API route, handles on success, handles server errors. We need to control what the display is going to be like a bit. handle any alerts that might happen, and then only show this file at the end. Okay, let's pass that through and see what happens. So we can shrink that out of the way. Let's see what's going on down here. Okay, so it needs to add a text area component, so it's going to install that via SUGCON. So that's good to see. It's started to realize that it needs a text area component. That's what we're going to use to enter the prompts we're going to use to generate the image. Crucially, it knows that we're basing this on SUGCON, though. So it knows that it needs to use SUGCON to generate that component. It doesn't just go and blindly do it itself. It's going to leverage that MCP that we added into the IDE to make sure that it's creating it in the way we want it to do. So I'm going to say to allow that for here. So it's going to allow the call to the MCP. After that, I'm going to allow the installation command to basically add it into the solution as well. There we go, that's pretty good. Okay, so it says, good, I have all the info I need. Now I'm going to go and create the component itself. So it's going to leverage that text area SUGCON component we just installed. And we can see now it's saying, okay, it's created the component. It's starting to test the API route as well. It also installed the text area, which we knew it was missing. So it's doing quite a thorough job here. Oh, it started to tell you the exact credits it used. That's new, I didn't know it did that. Nice. So we can keep that scenario. I think, is it actually finished now? Test the scenarios, test the API for various scenarios. I think that's finished. Okay. So we can see we have our image generator component here. We can go and take a look at it. Let's get rid of that terminal. And we can see it's generated a pretty standard Next.js looking component, you know? It's generating the image, it's calling the API. And then at the bottom, we have the HTML that's going to be rendered out. One thing it always forgets to do here is to add the component to the root itself. So I'm just going to tell it that myself. So add the image generation component to the image generator root. I think we also need a link through to that page as well, and add a link to that page, to the home page. So we've generated the image generator component. We're going to add that component to the image/generator root. And then we're going to make sure we have a link through to that root from the home page itself, so we can actually access it in our iframe when it's rendered out. Okay, so it says that's done. I think at that point, we should almost have a working image generator. So let's refresh my page. And we can see we have our AI image generator link at the bottom. Oh, here we go. So as I said, this is the joys of working with LLMs. Right, so let's do a bit of live debugging as always. So what's it going to say here? The image generator root is failing with the following error. Something to do with how it's set up the client. So let's see if the LLM can figure out what it did wrong. Okay, so it's fixed now, so it's using the unsubscribed version synchronously, not via a promise. So, okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's make sure it all loads properly through. If I go back to the portal, I can click on my link. We have the link through to my image generator, and okay, what should we generate today? Let's do an image of a conference being held in Delhi. There we go. It's really awesome. And then let's hit generate and cross my fingers again, and let's see. There we go. I mean, it's not exactly what this looks like, but you kind of get the idea. It's close enough. We get to generate new buttons, so you can click that, and it'll clear it, and it'll restart it. But we've got it end-to-end, kind of, going through some image generation. Let's go back and see where my instructions take me next. Okay, so we're going to start to enrich the functionality a little bit more. Now for our image generator, we're going to start to add a download functionality so that after you've generated an image, you can download it as well to make sure you can use it afterwards. So I'm going to go and copy my prompt again. Let's go back over to my IDE, my LLM, and what are we trying to do here? So it's saying we want to add a download button to the image generator panel. So you need to make sure the image's URL is not empty. Need to handle the base64 encoded image data, decode it, create a blob version from it, and then handle the download through the browser. Okay, so I just realized I didn't add the download functionality permission to my application install. So we'll go through this first, and let's try and see it fail first, and then we'll try and add it in and make sure we can make it work afterwards. How's everyone going while we go this far? Is everyone making progress? Anyone stuck and needs help at all? Have people raced far ahead and like I'm really slow and you've already finished everything? Okay, so it said we've got an image download button as well now. Let's try and see that in action. Yep, if you need any help, just hold your hand up, and then we've got a team of people who will come along and give you a hand. Okay, so image generator. What should we do today? Let's do something a bit silly. Let's do a dog riding a skateboard. Yeah, why not? Again, it's going to go over to the Hugging Face API. It's going to generate me a pretty cool image of a dog on a skateboard, right? And then we can hit the download button, and I'm pretty sure that's going to fail. If I bring up my dev tools, sorry, where have they gone? Yeah, so it says download is disabled. So as I said before, when we first released the marketplace, like the iframe was really restricted and there was no way to add these permissions. And I didn't enable the download permission. So let's go and test it. I can go back to my cloud portal. I'm going to go back to my App Studio, which is where I can edit the information for the app that I created when I first registered it. And oh man, so many apps. This is great to see. Oh man, I'm really far down here. Okay, so in here we have our permissions. So I need to be able to download that image that I just created. So I've got to make sure that I go and select and enable the download files permission. I can save that. And it says the permissions are updated successfully. I shouldn't need to do anything else. Now when anyone uses that application, when the iframe's created, it'll be rendered in a way that the permission for downloads is no longer restricted. So let's go, and I'm going to have to reload the page to do that, though. Oh, I'm going to have to think of something else for the logo now. Let's do, Oh man, I'm gonna. Any idea? What should we render, Vignesh? Come on. What should we search for? Oh, I can't hear you. Sorry. Let's just do. It's not going to know what Sitecore is really. So let's do. Let's just do another conference event in Delhi. Really sunny weather. It's too hot for me, which is marginally true. Here we go. Oh, it's looking even hotter now. There we go. We can hit the download button and fingers crossed. Did that work? Let me bring up my dev tools again. Oh, download's still disabled. I might have to go and reinstall it in the environment, maybe? Yeah, see, this is the bit I forgot, the update is required piece. So, which environment did I have this on? Number 7 I installed it in. Okay, so it says it's updated now. Let's go and give that another try. Okay, let's go back to my dog. Let's do this time. Let's do a dog on a skateboard. Oh man, I've got to be able to type properly. In space. Cool. There we go. Fantastic. Let's download that. And there we go. We get the download prompt. You can see it's enabled me to go and save that image if I wanted to. Okay. So here it's saying, we can do an end-to-end test in Sitecore. We could get it to review the app if we need to. We've already been through all of that piece. We've got it working in our standalone extension point. We can generate an image, we can download it, and it works. So there's more extension pieces we can go through here now. We can extend our functionality, give it a little bit of history so it can remember previous images that we've worked on. So again, we're going to make some updates to the code base here. We're going to be changing the image generator panel, the route that's working, and we're basically going to now have the ability to persist some of the images that we've generated down into the browser's local storage, which means you get a nice way of having a history selector for things you've already worked on. You can see the LLMs churning away here. It's going through and making all the different changes. So, here goes, come back and ask me if I wanted to implement any of these into the actual file. Interesting. Yeah, please do that. I always try and be quite polite when I'm asking my LLM to do things. I want to make sure when the robots take over, they remember that I was nice to them. So we can see it's going to go away and make the changes to the codebase files there. And here we go, all 3 enhancements are now implemented. So we'll keep those changes. I don't need to keep these files open. Let's go and try and see it in action again. So we go back to my AI image generator. You can see we get a style selector now, so we can choose what kind of style the image is going to be generated in. Let's do a concept art. Let's do some dogs playing snooker. So again, it's going to go away to the Hugging Face API, and fantastic, love it. We can then go and generate new, and you can see it actually persists this down into the history here. We can go and click on it and go back. If we go back to here, it's remembered what we asked for last time. So let's do some dogs playing football. And we'll change the style. Let's go for a watercolor, something really traditional. Beautiful. There we go. And you can see we have the history at the bottom. So it's starting to iterate and build out this functionality as we're going through and requesting it via the prompts. I think we're starting to come towards the end of our actual coding examples that I have here. There are a few slides we'll talk through at the end, but I think I'll definitely take a little bit of time now for you guys to carry on working, and yeah, let's see where you get up to.